doing this late night once again. I always, just feel obligated to do this, win, lose, or no matter how painful it may be. Another West Coast loss for Rutgers. Did the USC game last year. I think that was like 3 a.m. Not as late tonight, but still more painful. Rutgers loses at Washington 38-19. They open up with a 10-0 lead. Should have been more. Should have been more. And predictably, this team just got outclassed in the end. Lots to say. I mean, just really sums it up. Rutgers scores 13 points in six. I thought it was 7. I guess it's 6 red zone opportunities in the game. I think they were inside the Washington 30 8 different times in this game. 13 points, 6 or 7 red zone trips. The defense gives up 5 consecutive scores. Who says this team doesn't play complimentary football? And they fell apart in the second half. Thanks to those that listened. I made a cameo on Mike Broadbent's Spaces at halftime and said I nailed my halftime analysis, and it just unfortunately was painfully obvious to me in terms of what was going to happen in this game. I think, as Rutgers fans, we were upset at halftime, thinking Rutgers should have been up by a lot more than just 13-10. But I also saw the fact that, Washington, Jabome made the play of the year on defense, right? Stripping the quarterback at, I think, the 2-yard line. Washington missed a field goal. I mean, both teams had almost 300 yards of offense at the half. Rutgers was winning 13-10. Rutgers fans are thinking, we should have at least 23 points in this game. Washington fans were thinking they should have at least 20. So it just felt like the defense gave it their all in that first half. They still gave almost 300 yards. They only allowed 10 points, but it just felt like things were about to fall apart. Defensively, it did. A tidal wave was coming. You could smell it, and it did, in fact, happen. And the Rutgers offense, at this point, they're underachieving. It's extremely frustrating. There's a lot of talent on that offense. I thought Antoine Raymond, what a tough football player. Unbelievable touchdown, catch and run that he had. Ian Strong had a really good game. Sheffield was utilized well at times, not utilized enough or creatively enough, I would say. Duff, he had a tremendous catch early. How many targets did he even have? For just 4 targets for Duff. 3 catches, 59 yards and a touch, and just 4 targets. Raymond was utilized a lot in the passing game today, and that was really effective. 7 catches, 89 yards and a touch. Also, 15 carries, 89 yards for 5.9 yards per carry. So he had a big game. He 89 yards to the air and on the ground. He had 11 targets. Strong, 7 catches, 124 yards on 13 targets. The tight ends got some looks tonight. 7 combined catches between Weber and Fletcher. Calic Manis, he got lucky on a few. Decario Davis almost had like 3 interceptions, I think. It was pretty high. Calic Manis, 31 for 50, 386 yards, 2 touches. I thought he had 3 touchdowns and an interception at the very end. Not enough in the offense. Again, 3rd straight game in Big Ten play. They start really fast on offense, score in the first 2 or 3 drives. That script is working the first 15 to 20 plays. And then the defense just figures them out, and they can't really make a lot of adjustments. Rutgers doesn't throw down the field enough. And they don't have a consistent enough, they don't have balance. Even though Raymond had a good game on the ground, I just feel like the way they call the game, I honestly, I can't put my finger on it. It's just they seem off kilter some. Calic Manis does kind of rush things at times. I thought the offensive line did a relatively good job. They did give up 3 sacks in the game, but the offense just isn't efficient enough. They were 5 of 15 on 3rd down. In the red zone, they just can't punch it in. Patel missed another field goal. They didn't go for it on. They went for it on 4th down inside the 5. Could have kicked a field goal there. Missed. Calic Manis had 2 key passes deflected, including that 4th down. Raymond was open. And, it's just taking advantage of opportunities. That first drive of the game, I mean, Washington, they look like Rutgers, and where they, couldn't score. They missed the field goal, and you just felt like, oh, Rutgers has an opportunity here to get out hot. And the second drive up 7-0. They settled for a field goal. There was a drive early in the first half. They got great field position. They missed a field goal. This team is just they miss so many opportunities early in games that comes back to bite them in the second half. This is a third straight Big Ten game they were leading. Second straight they had a double-digit lead. The defense is not good. I mean, what they give up 600 yards. I think what they said, Damon Williams was the 16th quarterback in FBS history to throw for at least 400 yards and run for at least 100. He was 21 and 27, 402 yards, 2 touches, and he ran for 136 yards, 10.5 yards per carry. Pretty wild there. Just a really, really, really frustrating loss. Once again, this team doesn't know how to not lose in painstakingly fashion. I don't know if that even made sense, what I just said. Again, it's late. I'm looking for the first downs. Where is that for conversions? 5 of 15 on third down. Just not good enough. Washington was 4 of 9, 3 of 5 on fourth down. Washington 1 of 1. Not a ton of penalties in the game, but just one takeaway. It was the fumble loss right at the goal line, which was huge. Saved the touchdown there, but I mean, this Rutgers fans are, you could look at this and say Rutgers, should have won 41-38. Washington fans are probably looking at this like they should have won 55-19. You can't win, period, when you make so many mistakes and miss so many scoring opportunities. But especially on the road in Big Ten play on the West Coast, you're coming off a bye. This team looked no sharper off the bye. They look no better off the bye, and it's really upsetting. It's hard to find hope with this team right now. There's talent on this team. There's no doubt. I at this point, I mean, coaching is absolutely in question in all regards. Rob Smith's taking a lot of heat, but listen, Greg Schiano, he's done a fantastic job turning this program from bottom of the barrel in the Big Ten to a respectable middle of the pack, back-to-back bowl games, back-to-back winning seasons. But we felt last year they left a lot on the table, and they did. And this year, puts more pressure on you. You have a lot of turnover, and they're just not able to execute when it matters most. And that comes down to coaching. And you can love Greg Schiano as much as, Tony Soprano or anyone. And you have to have a lot of respect for Schiano. I certainly do. I wanted him back. I've never bought into the idea that he is the only coach that could ever win at Rutgers. It's just ridiculous. But it's we have to see how this season ends up. They're 3-3 now. They're 0-3 in the Big Ten. You have games against Maryland and Purdue, which, there are no gimmies on the schedule, but you go home now to Oregon, right, on homecoming. So that would be maybe the biggest win in modern program history if they won that game. You still have Penn State and Ohio State to end the season, right? So you're capped at 6 right there. So you have 3 must-win games that you have to win to go to a bowl, and that includes at Illinois, who's ranked right now. So the road to a bowl is slipping away. And if this team bottoms out and goes 3-9, 4-8, it's going to be a massive blow to Schiano 2.0. It just is. And again, there's time. They could turn it around, but they haven't given us reasons to think that they will. Other than if you're, some of the pom-pom waving, no matter how rainy the day might be, fan, it's really difficult to see this team turning it around. Injuries are piling up. They did have several again in this game after the bye week. And they're not missing a lot of stars, but the depth is adding up, in special teams. They were missing Dino and Dardridge, Naguhu, I probably butchered his name, but the defensive tackle. I mean, the defensive line played well in the first half, was out of gas in the second half. The secondary's been atrocious all year. This team just has no answers. And it's hard to see that changing anytime soon. And my long-winded point is just, if this season does go the way it seems like it's going, it's so hard in this day and age with the transfer portal, and unless you have money to burn, to change negative momentum on the recruiting trail is so difficult to do. So new athletic director Kelly Zinn has done an amazing job in her very short time here. I think she has things very well thought out. I'm going to do an episode very soon, kind of talking about some ideas and recapping where she's setting this athletics department up. But, I've said it many times. She needed Greg Schiano to win this year and to really get things going from a sponsorship standpoint, NIL standpoint, to generate buzz with new donors, corporate support, all that stuff. And she's not getting it. I mean, Schiano's got a massive buyout. I'm not saying he should be fired, but that's not what I'm saying. But Rutgers has a massive problem here. They're in a difficult spot, and the same kind of when you keep losing the same ways, it's very disheartening. And it's like, what's the term again? It's 1 a.m. at this point. The definition of insanity is just continue to do the same things over and over and expecting them to change. And they're not changing, and I think a Schiano Rutgers football team is what it is. I think there's a certain level of competency there that, the team's not going to be an embarrassment. I mean, I thought they played hard tonight. I thought, it just comes down to, when you play teams that are equal and or slightly above. I'm not even talking about the Blue Bloods or the top teams in the conference or in college football. But when you play teams that are either at or slightly above your level, Rutgers, more times than not all the time. I mean, obviously last November was different, right? There's been some stretches that have been positive, but more times than not, they play down. And they're the ones that lose in terms of a lack of execution, an inability to close, playing to lose, not to, being conservative, and I think it's predictability. Rutgers has just become so predictable, and that's why, as a longtime fans of this team, on the halftime spaces, I mean, I was pretty clear. I thought a lot of people felt the same way. It just, you knew it was coming. I tweeted at halftime, it wasn't a matter of if Washington was going to score with the ball at a halftime. It was how quickly, and they did it in less than 2 minutes. It just felt like Rutgers is unable to keep their opponents off balance because they're so predictable. And it's constantly the defense that seems to be out of whack because they can't figure out the offense, the opponent that they're facing, not to mention a lack of execution on tackling, in terms of, I mean, how many times do we see Washington receivers just wide open with tons of space around? Just very upsetting. But, as bad as the defense was in that second half, if the offense, but I've said this all season, that my fear was the defense was so bad that there was so much pressure on the offense to be as close to perfect as possible that I was worried they were going to fall under the weight of the pressure that was on them to be, highly efficient to have any chance of winning. And I feel like in this game, you kind of felt that fall on them. and they could not bear that weight, and they just they had plenty of chances in this football game, and to come away with 19 points. You're not going to win a Big Ten game right now scoring less than 30. They scored 28 the two before this and lost. But to score 19 points with the chances that this offense had, the opportunities they had, it's really disappointing. And, that's your strength. And they're not playing at a high level or nearly a high enough level than you are. I mean, they scored 9 points after the first 5 minutes of the game. I think that's right. Just so frustrating. I'll see if I can pull up any last stats here that maybe would be of interest. Let's see. Nothing crazy that I can find. I thought I would be able to. No, it's not. It doesn't matter. Does it? Does it really matter? This is just a terrible way for Rutgers to. I think just in terms of getting off that bye week, right? You were hoped for. Here it is. Here's advanced stats. This is what I was looking for. Okay. Where's the big plays? Big plays. Rutgers 11 big plays for 316 yards. Washington 16 big plays. Power rushing. Yeah, I mean Washington. How many runs did they have in this game? Just so many. I know I'm just losing it here, but rushing yards, yeah. 177 rushing yards, 5.5 yards per carry. Rutgers had 4 yards per carry, but just big plays. I mean, Denzel Boston's so good for them at 2 touchdowns. But yeah, Washington, 579 yards of total offense. Rutgers, 493. But again, 5 of 15 on third down, just 13 points in 6 or 7 red zone trips. I think it was 8 total inside the 30, and just force 1 turnover. You're not doing anything special to make up for the mistakes. And that's another thing. When you make mistakes, when you can't execute, you have to make up for it with dynamic plays. And, other than Jabome with that tremendous takeaway at the goal line, without Raymond making that tremendous, individual play on the touchdown, Strong had a good game. Sheffield made some plays. You're not going to win. You just don't have enough big plays and individual plays and team takeaways. Special teams was better, but didn't change the game at all. And Rutgers gets doubled up, 38-19. Very disappointing loss. This season is certainly on the brink of falling apart. You go home to Oregon. And then I believe Purdue's right after that. And obviously a do or die in that game. And you lose that game. I mean, the season's essentially over. But there's going to be plenty more to unpack. But I think if you're a Greg Schiano fan, if you're not frustrated with the state of the program in year 6, I don't know what to tell you. Yes, he's done a good job. He doesn't have the NIL that other teams have. There's certainly some obstacles, but I think what you can judge him on is the talent he has, the opportunities he's had, and what he's done with it. And in terms of there's been years he's overachieved. Maybe 2 years ago he overachieved. Last year he underachieved. This year they're on the path to underachievement yet again. And I'll end it at that. Thank you so much for listening and watching once again here at the Scarlet Faithful Podcast. I'm Aaron Brightman. I wish that I was wrong, but unfortunately, this team did prove me right in this game, and they fall to 3-3, 0-3 in the Big Ten, and going home for homecoming, a daunting task. Stranger things have happened, but this is also a program that has the longest winless streak against ranked opponents in the country. 16 years and counting. And tonight did not give us any reason to think that will end next Saturday. Talk to you soon.